Hello and welcome to Sportsnite. My name is David Sackrider here alongside David Woodruff, and we're going to break down all of Michigan's upcoming sporting events in this edition of Wolverine Weekend.
You ready for this?
I'm so ready for this.
Let's get right into it. The Michigan men's soccer team faces one of the biggest tests of the season on Sunday as they travel to hostile Bloomington to face the number 4 ranked Indiana Hoosiers. The Hoosiers, last year's Big Ten champions, currently sit on top of the Big Ten standings with a perfect record of 3 wins and no losses. But the Wolverines are close at their heels with 2 wins and 2 draws. U of M has been potent offensively this season, led by the Big Ten leading 6 goals of forward Nebojsa Popovich and conference leading 6 assists from junior Mark Ibarra. But Indiana boasts offensive firepower of their own, especially in the form of Big Ten Player of the Week Aiden Morris, a super freshman who had a goal and a pair of assists in IU's wins over Northwestern and Penn State. The Wolverines will look to avenge last season's 1-0 regular season loss and 3-0 loss in the Big Ten tournament live on ESPNU at 3 p.m.
So I have to imagine that you got to give Michigan the edge in this one. Indiana's got a tough game ahead of them. They're facing number 19 ranked Kentucky at Kentucky. You got to imagine most of their practice time and focus is dedicated to that game and not Michigan coming up ahead.
Definitely a hostile away game, and meanwhile Michigan plays a high school team in Detroit Mercy at midweek. Edge Wolverines there. They'll definitely come out fresh and ready for action.
The Michigan volleyball team faces a major test on Sunday as they are set to take on the number 5 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers in Lincoln. Last year's national runner-up, Nebraska currently sits in the 4th spot in the Big Ten with a conference record of 3-1. They also maintain a dominant 11-2 on the year overall. As for the Wolverines, while unranked nationally, they currently sit at the top of the Big Ten, tied with Minnesota and Wisconsin, with a conference record of 4 wins and no losses. Michigan looks to have the slight edge on paper, leading in nearly every statistical category with 667 kills, 84 aces, and just 215 errors on the year. Comparing that to the Cornhuskers' 627 kills, 50 aces, and 218 errors. And it should be a great matchup to watch on ESPN2 at 1 p.m.
So kind of a similar point here. Michigan's on a roll. They come in fresh, and they play Iowa Friday, so obviously not the biggest test. Meanwhile, for Nebraska, it's much tougher.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Nebraska's got to take on a tough Michigan State team. Meanwhile, they're struggling this year. They're 1-3 in the conference. They kind of held their own against Minnesota, but, really Michigan's got an easy game here and then gets the chance to look ahead, while on the flip side, Nebraska's got to look at both games as if they're tough wins.
Following last week's scrappy victory over the 14th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, the Michigan football team, now ranked number 16 in the nation, faces a far easier task on Saturday as they take on Illinois. Illinois is coming off a 40-17 humiliation at the hands of Minnesota, and starting quarterback Brandon Peters, himself a former Wolverine, is questionable to play after sustaining an injury in the second quarter of the game. If he plays, the Wolverine defense will have its hands full, as the Illini offense put up 38 points on Nebraska in their close loss in the Big Ten season opener. Running back Reggie Corbin is a player to watch for Illinois. Slowing him down will be key to a successful defensive effort. Shea Patterson will look to bounce back against the Illini defense that has surrendered more than 30 points in their last 3 games. The Wolverines will definitely look to pound the rock, as Minnesota backs Rodney Smith and Shannon Brooks combined to shred the Illinois defense for more than 300 yards last week. So following that, shall we say, scrappy win against Iowa, do you think that we're going to be up for it, or maybe looking ahead to that Penn State whiteout game?
Yeah, it's tough. When you're looking at a football season, you've got so few games over the course of the schedule that you have to take each opponent seriously. And while Illinois is not nearly as big of a threat as maybe Penn State, you can't just sit this game out and say we're going to be fine, especially because Michigan has done that against teams already this season and have not been so fine.
One quick note, when they announced that the Penn State game was a night game, I nearly fainted. So prayers up. But for that Penn State game to be big, we have to beat Illinois. So noon Saturday, we'll see what happens.
Well, that'll do it for us here. I've been David Sackrader alongside David Woodruff. Thank you for tuning in to Sportsnite, and so long.